That, and we have audio. Okay, I don't know why it's not letting me keep the audio, but I'm going to do a quick sound check. Sound check for me. Sound check for Will.
Check, check.
Hey, that is beautiful. All right, Will, let's get into this. Let's talk some Minnesota Vikings football. This is a second attempt of the evening, 20 total minutes of back and forth and light bulbs blowing up and everything happening. It's a grand time here at Load the Box. My name is Jordan Hawthorne. I'm joined, as always, by Will Goodwin. Follow him on Twitter at WillBadLose, and check out his stuff at on Vikings Territory and the Bad Loser blog. All right, Will, how was your week? You had a child's birthday party for the actual game, but then you went back and you rewatched it. It always feels weird doing things a second time over. But how's your week been? How are you as a person for the second time?
As a person, I'm doing pretty well. It's been a full week. Came off of a family reunion and then a full work week right after that. So I think, trying to catch my bearings a little bit, but it's been a good week. It's also just a lot of fun getting back into some regular Vikings football and watching an actual football game. And I got out to practice today with the 49ers, so I'll have some thoughts on that later in the show, but it's been an awesome week.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think we're just going to kind of dive in, not just in the interest of our times collectively, but in the interest of what interests people. Let's go ahead. Let's dive into that Las Vegas Raiders game that we all saw on Sunday. It was on like national TV. I myself had to listen to like the Las Vegas version of the broadcast because they were the home team. I don't know if you got like Paul Allen on the mic or anything like that.
Yeah, we over here in Minnie, we got the Vikings Entertainment Network stream on. It was looped into the
See,
Fox 9
that's
broadcast, so
so
we had the local commentary,
That's
which was
so
good.
much better. Like I wish I would have had access to that, but I had to listen to like the Las Vegas guys be like, "I have no idea who Kellen Mond is, but you know, he drops back to pass," and I was like, "Oh, this is so frustrating." But I persevered. I watched the game live and joked with my wife afterwards about how the preseason is good for the fans as well as it gets me ready for Sunday nights after a Vikings loss, sitting there wondering what I'm doing, rooting for this team. I didn't take it too bad, if I'm being honest. It's a preseason game; they don't matter. I think we saw some things in the game that we're going to break down here, starting with the most important position on the team, the backup quarterback. Every Vikings fan's favorite position to talk about. Kellen Mond, I think, looked really bad and then looked better against really bad competition. Sean Mannion just looked bad the whole time. I don't think he showed anything that makes you want him on your football team. Other than his ability to hold a clipboard and be, I guess, a good presence in your locker room. Will, I'm going to pass it off to you. What did you take away from the game? Do you want to see a trade happen? Do you want to see Kellen Mond just be the guy? What do you think should happen at the quarterback 2 position for this team?
Yeah, I'm not as keen on a trade unless you're able to really pull in an established backup. Um, I think, someone like Colt McCoy would be an interesting target because he's someone who can win you a game if you need him to. Someone in that realm. Jimmy Garoppolo, speaking of the 49ers, would be interesting. I don't think we want to give up as much as he would require. I think it also would be a little weird to have him and Kirk in the same building, but um, I think what we have right now, I think it's worth continuing to play out what we have with Mond. I think we've seen market improvement from this year to last preseason, and there's still a lot to work on for him. There's still weaknesses. He's still a little tentative. He's still too quick to tuck it and run. In practice today with the Niners, there were a couple plays that probably would have been sacks in a real game, but he tucked it and ran a little too soon also, and it caused holding penalties because of it. So I think he's showing a little bit of skittishness that you don't love. But then on the flip side, there were moments, and yes, like you said, against bad competition on Sunday. But there were moments where he made some nice throws. That fourth down completion to Chisna, that kept the drive moving. The couple touchdowns he threw to Albert Wilson, someone else that we're going to talk about later in the show. So there were a lot of moments that kind of raise your eyebrows and see a little bit of improvement from him. I think he completed his last 7 throws on the game on Sunday, so he got a little more comfortable. I think he made some decent decisions with the football, and as O'Connell mentioned, he was going to his secondary and tertiary checks after the first option was not open. So he made some improvements. Again, made some improvements in practice today as the day went on. So we don't need to talk about Mannion.
He's bad.
He's not a viable option. I think he's a good dude, and he's been a good presence for this team, but he's not going to win you any games. So
I think Sean Mannion, this is my hot take on. I think he could win you more games as a head coach than he could as like the starting quarterback for your team. I think that's kind of my takeaway with Mannion is everyone raves about his mental capacity and how he understands the team. How do you make that guy your backup quarterback for this long?
yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's that like you said, the mental capacity that he carries. I think that's very important to have someone in a backup quarterback who's able to kind of be that, sounding board and able to really kind of in a way be another coach for the quarterback, especially with a defensive head coach in our previous regime. But now We have O'Connell, we have Wes Phillips, who have both been quarterback coaches. Um, it's just not as necessary at this point. So you got to have a backup quarterback who can win you a game in a pinch. I think Mond is what gives us the best chance at this point. How about from your perspective, do you see Mond being a viable option, or would you prefer to go pursue the trade market?
I think, and this will slowly kind of drift us into the second talking point that I think we're going to go into. I think I would like to see one more game out of Mond. I want to see him play. I wish O'Connell would just say, like, we're giving Kellen Mond the first 3 quarters of Saturday's game, and then the fourth quarter is going to be Sean Mannion and a lot of handoffs. Because I want to see. I think he showed flashes of arm talent, but his ability to lead a defense is really what is kind of holding me back from saying, oh yeah, this guy could step in for. It's always been my opinion, and I heard it somewhere, and I can't remember where. But if you hear me saying this, I'm not trying to plagiarize. This isn't my take. You want your backup to be able to come in and go 500 over a month. So you want them to go 2-2, in a month stretch. And if they can just survive that long, if Cousins, God forbid, blows his knee out, the season's over, right? Like, we can all chalk it up as, okay, we're not going to win the Super Bowl this season. The Case Keenum thing is the anomaly that happens once every, 1,000 moons or whatever you want to say. And he goes on this miracle run. That doesn't happen. You want your backup to go 2-2, and then your main guy come back in. And I think Mond gives us a much better chance to do that than Sean Mannion does. I think with Sean Mannion, I would be shocked if we went 1-3 over a 4-game stretch. With Mond, I wouldn't be as shocked if he did make some stuff happen. But the play that really stands out to me from Mond is just, he makes, and I posted a tweet about from the show's Twitter about it, at LTB Vikings. Like, he makes all these guys miss, and he is in the, he's standing back there looking for a target for, like, I want to say 10 seconds at least. Like, he's just dancing and he's running around and he's being crazy, and he looks like Fran Tarkington back there. And then he overthrows a wide open guy in the end zone, like, badly. And you think to yourself, like, okay, yeah, we see the flash of why he could be a good quarterback, but then he just doesn't execute when you want him to. And I'm not trying to kill the guy. I think he is an NFL quality backup. I just, being the paranoid person I am, I want to have a higher quality backup, because I don't want one Cousins injury to mean the entire season's just done. I would like to think, if we had someone like Gardner Minshew in the building, which is how I'm going to transition into the running backs, if we trade Alexander Madison and a 7th-round pick for Gardner Minshew, if Cousins goes down, I still think the Vikings can win quite a few games with Minshew, and hopefully Cousins comes back and is able to take us all the way. But let's talk about the running backs a little bit. I'm going to pass it off to you. I think everyone was just taken aback by how deep we go at the running back position. Who was, of all the backs, who was the biggest standout to you in Sunday's game?
I think it was Ty Chandler. I think I was also surprised that it was Ty Chandler. In some senses, it makes sense, because we know what Madison can do. He only got 2 or 3 carries. He was hardly in the game. Cook obviously didn't suit up. Wongwu had moments too. He had a handful of good rushes. He had a couple good catches where he broke tackles and everything, but Chandler was the one who surprised me. His kick return was one where I knew he returned kicks in back when he was in college at North Carolina. When he initiated that contact at around the 20-yard line and just bounced off of it and kept rolling, I think that was something that I raised my eyebrows at. And I saw that again in practice today. He was the one who was initiating contact with the 49ers defense, whether it was their linebackers or their defensive line. He was seeking out the contact. He wasn't, trying to just spin around people. And
Right.
so that, and then also just the burst. He had multiple bursts on Sunday that were impressive. And granted, again, against second and third team Raiders defense, The offensive line, though, did a good job getting him big holes. So in a way, it's hard to really know
Right.
how much was his, greatness and how much was just the good scheme that opened up a running lane for him. But he took advantage. Multiple runs over 10 yards, and like I said, he was able to run away from people. And when he did have moments of contact, he was the one delivering the hit, not the other way around. So I was very impressed. I think going into the game, I saw him as a clear, fourth option on the depth chart. I'm not sure. I'm not sure after last Sunday as well as then practice today. I think he's making strides, and I mean, I don't know if we would ever in a million years keep four running backs and a fullback. But it's going to be a hard decision because all those guys have value.
Yeah.
How about you? What did you see that was maybe surprising or exceptional?
It was
from the running
actually
backs?
funny enough. It was a very similar take to yours, and I guess this is we kind of talked about like oh, let's try and get like not a theme, but let's get like a format of the show written up. But we didn't go super deep into it. It was that he was initiating contact, and that he was like I compared him to like a heat-seeking missile out there, because he was just like looking for guys and hitting them. And I don't want to say he's Dalvin Cook, because Dalvin Cook has been a very good running back, but he reminds me of Dalvin in the sense of, you look at him and you look at what his ratings are going to be on Madden, and you look at how, this is like the type of player with L quotations around it. He's a shifty, scat back type of guy, Alvin Kamara, that kind of a back. But like Dalvin Cook, he's running so fast. If he lowers his shoulder, he's going to go through you, and he wants to be physical. He doesn't wince away from the hit. He says, "Come hit me, I dare you," and he gets in there with somebody. I really think that the biggest loser in Sunday's game, other than Sean Mannion, who I feel bad. I feel like this is a very anti-Sean Mannion show now, and it's not. Like I said, he's a good guy, but like, I think Alexander Madison is one of the biggest losers, because he looks so expendable to me right now, and he's last year of his contract. There's no way we're going to bring him back. There's no way we're going to give him the money. He's going to go to a team, and he's going to be a valuable piece for somebody. I'd rather trade him and get value now from him. Like I said, I'd rather see about a backup quarterback, see about getting a center that we know has some level of competence in the National Football League. I think that Keeney and Ty Chandler are the future of the backfield. And I think you can. This is all coming off of one preseason game, I know, so like it sounds crazy. I think Keeney has shown enough to me that, he's probably going to take Dalvin's job, and Dalvin's not going to be around super long, because Dalvin's getting up there in terms of being a running back. So that was kind of my takeaway. I think Ty Chandler looked amazing. And like you said, it was against the second and third team, and maybe even a little deeper, but I think he looked really good. I know you mentioned his punt return and his special teams play. I'm going to talk about another guy, and I'm going to keep talking for just a minute. I want to talk about the wide receiver position, keeping it on the same side of the ball, and really keeping it to that third unit of the team, the special teams. Jalen Naylor, to me, was a disappointment on Sunday. When Paul Allen is singing your praises in rookie camp, saying, Jalen Naylor's going to step up, he's going to be the guy, Jalen Naylor this, all you hear about is how fast and how explosive and how good he's going to be. I need you to make an impact in one of these televised games that you have, and not just be the guy that does it, in the shells and, no pads and the helmets, but then doesn't do it against actual competition. I think he needs a really big game. This is kind of looking forward. He needs a big game against San Francisco to really sell himself, because right now, I mean, you've got Albert Wilson catching 2 touchdown passes, and then you've got Tristan Jackson, who had I think 2 drives where he looked pretty good with Kellen Mond. You have to stand out and own the praise that was sung by Paul Allen and by the coaching staff and the fan base. So that was my takeaway from just watching the wide receivers. Obviously, no Justin Jefferson, no Adam Thielen. I don't. Did KJ Osborne even play? I don't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head.
He had the first reception of the game for 10 yards,
That's
and that
right.
might have been the
That's
only
right.
snap he had.
And
He was off very
I
soon.
think he's solidified himself. He is wide receiver 3. I think he's had a good enough camp. He's not in danger of somebody coming up and snatching it from him. He had a good year last year. That wide receiver 4 spot is going to be so hotly contested. Someone has to reach up and just snag it. And it felt like Tristan Jackson and Albert Wilson both, I mean, they did a good job of that on Sunday, whereas Jalen Naylor didn't. And he also muffed a punt, which is just, I mean, that's like that's 2 cuts that he made right there. Those are 2 things where it's like, we don't want that guy on the team. So he's got to have a big game in San Francisco. What did you take away from watching the wide receivers on Sunday?
A lot. There's a lot there. I think we could do a whole show on the wide receivers,
Yeah,
honestly. You made a couple comments that that made me think. The Albert Wilson performance, if you will, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns on Sunday was very, I guess, impressive in one sense, but also just noteworthy is probably the more accurate adjective, because he's very low on the depth chart. Um, Season starts today, he's not making the roster, and though those 2 touchdowns, as well as a touchdown he caught today from Mannion in the back left corner of the end zone. Um, I don't know if it's just random. I don't know if it's just happenstance, but he seems to be able to get some space in the red zone, which is important.
yeah,
You've seen that with Adam Thielen, where you wouldn't think he's red zone target number 1. You think red zone, you think Mike Evans, Jimmy Graham,
Kyle Rudolph.
Gronkowski, Kyle Rudolph, big guys who can box out and get a jump ball. But if he's able to get some separation and some wiggle off the line of scrimmage and get just an inch, and he's valuable in the red zone, similar to Adam Thielen, like I mentioned, that's something that's not
Absolutely.
something to sniff at. So, um, you also mentioned Tristan Jackson. I don't need to cover much on him. You covered a lot on Jalen Naylor. Um, I think the piece that was interesting to me was Amir Smith-Marset. He had moments where I was very intrigued, and you could see from last year to this year the improvement.
Yeah,
Last year he looked skinny. He looked a little bit maybe just not quite all in, not all in, but he wasn't maybe quite in rhythm with the team, with the offense. He seemed a little bit of an outlier, partly because he didn't get a ton of reps. Um, he had some moments late in the season against the Bears, I know. But Sunday, he just looked aggressive. He looked faster. I think the piece though that was maybe a little bit concerning to me in the kick return game, and he's not going to be the kick returner. That's Wong Wu's job to lose.
absolutely.
Um, he was a little tentative. He wasn't bursting towards any holes or trying to get up the sideline, other than the the very first kick of the game, which was called back due to holding.
Yeah,
Um, After that, he was very tentative. He also muffed a punt. He recovered it himself, but there was just there was good and there was bad with Amir Smith-Marset, and I think there's sentiment that he is maybe the front runner to be wide receiver 4, maybe alongside or slightly ahead of BC Johnson. Um, but I think he still has some work to do. I think his aggressiveness is good. He's showing a lot more confidence. I think when I was watching the game, kind of what I was, trying to hypothesize and boil down to like why he was showing these flashes and then just he would fade out and have a really, not good play, was it almost felt like he was pressing a little too much and trying to show what he could do a little too much. Um, we know with this guy, he's got the tools. He's got otherworldly speed. Um, and quickness and agility. I think he needs to just let himself play. In the moments on Sunday and then in practice again today that he did that, I think were very encouraging. So I think he's someone to keep an eye on. I think he's making the team. I just think it's a matter of how many reps he gets, how much time in the field he
I
gets.
don't want to spend the like you said, we could do an entire show just about the wide receiver position because like we're not even talking about how good like the top of the position is for the Vikings. We're just talking about like the depth that we have, which is a good thing. I'm happy that we're having this conversation, but do you think BC Johnson makes this team? It feels like to me that like Jefferson is just an all-around elite wide receiver, right? He would be the number one wide receiver on almost any team in the league. Thielen is obviously, like you said, he's very effective in the red zone. He is a veteran. He's probably lost half a step at this point, but he's still effective and he's still such a good route runner that you want him on the team. KJ took a big step last year and is hopefully going to make another one this season. After that, it kind of feels like we don't have that like Deshaun Jackson, speed guy that you just trust to say go straight and we'll bomb it to you. Like we will literally tell Cousins just let one loose in his direction and he'll be down there somewhere. We don't have that, and it feels like with the additions made in the offseason with, like Jalen Naylor, Albert Wilson to an extent, and then, of course, Emil Smith-Marset being here, it feels like that's what the coaching staff maybe wants at that fourth or fifth wide receiver position. And BC Johnson, I don't think, brings that to the table. And I'm kind of worried for my boy BC Johnson because I was always a big BC fan, but, like, I don't know, at some point, you got to take that next step. And it never felt like he did, but KJ Osborne did. So do you think BC's getting left in the dust here a little bit?
I think it's hard to say. I think especially because he's been such an organizational soldier.
Yeah.
He's been here for multiple years and he's built up some rapport with his teammates. However, he has no experience. Maybe the other way around. O'Connell and Wes Phillips have no experience with him.
Right.
So they don't have any sort of sentimentality towards him. So I think they're just looking for the best option. I think depending on the strides that Tristan Jackson makes over the next couple of weeks, seeing what Jalen Naylor can maybe do, Albert Wilson, I think we have a lot of options. And I think if I had to say today, based on a safety net, he'd probably make it as the sixth receiver, ahead of maybe Wilson or Naylor.
Yeah.
But I think the next couple weeks are big because, like you said, he doesn't necessarily have that second gear. He made a really nice grab today on a back shoulder fade from, if it was from Mannion down the right sideline. Really nice grab, put the Vikings in a good position in a 2-minute drill. But I don't know. I think he's definitely got an uphill battle. How about you? I know you said you're concerned about your boy BC, but if you had to lay it on the table today, is he making a team?
No, he doesn't. I don't think he does. I think that Naylor has. I don't know that he has, but if Naylor can get to a point where he is like competent at even just catching punts from NFL punters, I think that just immediately it's like this guy's fast. Like, we don't need him to be an elite route runner. That's not what we're asking him to do. We're asking him to just be fast and be able to catch punts. And if something happens to Wongwu, he can catch, he can take kicks back. I think that, like, we kind of talked about this on the show last week, just making yourself into, like, a Swiss Army knife of being able to do all these different things helps you in the long haul. And I don't know that BC Johnson can say anything other than, hey, I was in the system that used to be here for a couple of seasons before you got here, Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi and everybody else on the coaching staff. So Jeff Hawthorne was in the chat. He said it looks like Ham is going to be cut. We're a little strict on time, so I don't want to go fully into that, but I have seen those reports that are saying CJ Ham might not be making it, and I don't know how I feel about that because he's been important. He was a big part of the offense when I went to my preseason game in Cincinnati a few years ago. But he was like a running back, not a fullback at that point. But anyway, let's talk about the defensive backs position. I'm going to try and go through my take here quickly so that way we can look a little bit ahead into the San Francisco game here. Defensive backs, I'm going to let you go first because I think we're going to have a little bit of back and forth here. What did you see from the DBs, the ones that started the game, all the way down to the ones that ended the game? Concerns, high hopes, how you feeling?
At this point, not too many red flags. I think I'm taking it with, I'm taking these preseason games in stride a little bit. Dantzler looked good today on the practice field, apart from literally the first rep of the day. He got burnt deep by Brandon Ayuk, but apart from that, he looked pretty good on the field today. I think the thing that was maybe a little concerning, but also completely understandable, and also something that you are going to want to work through in the preseason rather than the regular season, is the illegal contacts that he had, Dantzler had, and some other defenders had on Sunday. I know they're probably trying to get used to like the new officiating rule on that. They're going to be a lot more strict with that, so you kind of want to test what the officials are going to call. So it's not really something to worry about too much. But I think he was maybe okay. He's got work to do. He's still really skinny, which is a little concerning. I think the piece, I wrote this down on Sunday when I was watching the game, is just that Andrew Booth just looks more like a football player. He's someone that if you're lining up against, you have a different level of, I don't know if fear's the right word, but maybe the dude has an ego. He's got an MO, and he's gonna come after you. Even on the play when he got the double penalty, which wasn't really, that was strange.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there were moments where, he had maybe some hiccups, that like a rookie hiccup, and I think there was one play where he let a big gain go. But again, not too concerning. I think if I'm the Vikings, though, I want to start Booth week 1. That's what I want, and I need to see if Dantzler can show enough, because, like I said, Booth is just, he's more of a football player. He's more aggressive. He's stronger. He's built more.
Yeah.
So he's also just way more confident. And that's, if you want, someone who's going to go up against Aaron Rodgers week 1, I want someone who's confident, not someone who's going to be on his heels. So that's what I see. How about you? I know we have a little maybe differing opinions on this.
Yeah, I and especially whenever we were texting about this, you were like, I don't think those calls for concern on the defensive backs position. And I do want to preface it with this. And they said this on the Las Vegas Raiders broadcast during the Vikings Raiders game. They said good defensive backs won't make your pass rushers any better, but good pass rushers make your defensive backs better. And I scream that from the rooftops. I tell my wife that before I leave the house every morning. I say, hey, Vikings got to have a good pass rush this year if we want to do anything. And she says, what are you talking about at 6 a.m.? I think it's so important to remember that Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter are not in the game. That will change things. It's going to be a lot different whenever you've got those two guys coming at you, and all of a sudden those balls get a little wobbly, or they start acting funny. With that being said, Cameron Dantzler this is third season with the team. I was really excited about him. Year 1, year 2, I'm still excited about him, but seeing his play not be exactly great, to put it that way, hearing stories about him getting toasted in practices and things like that, it's starting to get a little concerning. It's starting to be like, okay, when does this, like Wyatt Davis, last season we thought it was all just Mike Zimmer conspiracy theories. This season, oh my God, Wyatt Davis might not be good at football. Cam Dantzler might not be the starting caliber player that we want him to be, and that's okay. Not everybody can be, Patrick Peterson or the good Xavier Rhodes. It goes back and forth, but I think I'm on the same page as you. If I'm the Vikings, I want Booth out there. I think you can see it. I mean, Booth is just a different human being. Dantzler is kind of slender and more shifty and more, they call him the needle, right? I mean, he's built like a needle, whereas Andrew Booth looks more like a tree branch that's just gonna, hit you. And I was a huge fan of his coming into the draft process. I thought that pick single-handedly saved the Vikings draft from being mocked and ridiculed by people like me for the rest of time. But I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at. I need to see Danslow have a good couple of preseason games, and I think I'll know where I stand on Danslow a month into the season, the regular season, that is. Because if he's playing like he has in previous years, where it's like, come on, like just take that step, man. Like it feels like he's right on the cusp, and he just can't get over the line, or however you want to put it. But that's kind of my opinion. I think, Patrick Peterson's going to be himself. Shandon Sullivan hasn't been great. Maybe you look at Peterson, at Danslow, like maybe trying his role in the slot rather than being outside. I mean, you're going to have to move some chess pieces around. I'm hoping that this regime will not be the same as the Mike Zimmer regime with Bashad Breeland was playing bad and they just stuck to their guns without fail because Cameron Danslow, sent out a tweet saying he was upset. And so he never saw the field again. I hope that that's not the case this season. I hope they just keep cycling guys in, saying, we're going to put the best football players on the field. You're not the best football player right now. It's the guy behind you. We're going to put him into the game. And I hope that they take more of that approach. But I guess we'll see. We're gonna move a little quickly here because we're right at half an hour. What are you looking forward to the most in the San Francisco game this upcoming weekend? I'll say let's do like one on offense and one on defense.
Great. Hey, do you want to actually go first and then I can just close the show?
Yeah, you know what? That sounds great. That sounds like really
Let's
good.
do that.
On the defensive side of things, and I think I may have mentioned this over our text messages, I'm really excited to see how the backup pass rushers do against San Francisco. I would like to see them. I want to see one guy start flashing a little bit to the point where I can get excited about, okay, look, even if Danielle Hunter goes down, this guy is, he looked really good in the preseason. I want to start getting excited about somebody. After Sunday's game, I wasn't really out of my seat hyped about the future of the pass rusher position. I am keeping my fingers crossed that Smith and Hunter stay healthy. So that's my defensive side of things, as well as, Jalen Twyman's going to be on the field, and love me some Jalen Twyman. On the offensive side of things, and this goes back to the wide receiver talk that we did a minute ago, I want to see Jalen Nailor have, and I told you, a big special teams play or just something exciting with the second or third team offense. I need to see him, get a 75-yard touchdown, take a pump back, do something to stand out, because I want to love Jalen Nailor. I think his nickname potential is through the roof with a last name like Nailor, nails, hammer on the nail. You can just do a lot of things with the whole Nailor last name. And I really want him to make the team, and I really want him to be good because I love that player style of just, I'm faster than you. You can't stop it unless you really want to commit somebody to playing center field over top of me. And I want to see him grow and develop and be the next great Viking wide receiver. And I just want to see him have that burst, that flash in the pan. I guess that's a bad analogy because that means once in a lifetime. But I want to see him show off a little bit in Sunday's preseason game. But since this is the last thing you'll hear from me, make sure you follow the show at LTB Vikings on Twitter. Follow Will at Will Badloos. Catch the show Wednesday nights at 7:30 Central Time, 8:30 Eastern Time. Sorry for the technical difficulties tonight. It's always fun and exciting, but that's all you have from me. So I want to start working this into the show, Mo, because I want this to be my new identity. This is just one dream chaser signing off. I'm going to pass it off to my other dream chasers. We're chasing dreams with the dream chasing Minnesota Vikings. Rebrand the team from the Vikings to the dream chasers already. I'm ready. I'm 100% ready. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys next week and enjoy the game Saturday.
Sweet. Thanks, Jordan. Couple thoughts from me looking ahead to Saturday with the Niners. I think something that is interesting to me on the defensive side of things is, depending on how much Trey Lance plays, I am interested and curious to see how we contain a mobile athletic quarterback. In the last few years, we did not do a very good job of that. Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, just to name a couple. Lamar Jackson was not unbelievable against the Vikings, but he definitely broke contain multiple times and got outside with his legs. So I'm curious to see how we respond to that from the defensive side of things. Offense, I'm looking I'm looking for more. You talked about the wide receivers. I'm looking for more from the running back position. I want to see if there's any separation that happens between those, backups, Wongwu, Chandler, Madison. This could be a defining game for who is the second and third running back on the team. You mentioned the disposable nature of Madison at this point. I think it's real. So I think that game is big for the running back position. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be, again, it's a preseason game. You can only take so much from it. We don't even know how many of the starters will play at this point. Generally, this is the dress rehearsal, as they call it, but we don't know how O'Connell and his staff will handle it. So it's going to be interesting. Take it with a grain of salt, but it's a big week in Minneapolis with the Niners here all week for practice. I will be there again tomorrow. You can look for an article from me later this week recapping the couple practices, what I took as takeaways, and things to look forward moving forward. So again, this is Will signing off for Jordan and myself. Load the box. We'll be back next Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Follow us on Twitter. We'll talk to you guys later.
Absolutely. And Skull, as always. Oh no, I'm doing so much.